Hello everyone, this is Don Evans for WatchReport.com, and today we are going to be doing a video review of the Alpina Heritage Pilot. This is a limited edition of 1,883 pieces, which commemorates the year that Alpina was founded. It is a 50 millimeter case, so it's a very large case, 50 millimeters wide, 54 millimeters with the crown, but it's only about 11 millimeters thick. So it's a large, wide watch, but very thin. You have a 22 millimeter strap that tapers to 18 millimeters, and I'll get to showing it to all of you after I am done running down the specs. It weighs just about 111 grams, so even though it's a large watch, it does not weigh very much. The movement is an AL 435 caliber. It is a Unitus-based movement that Alpina then modifies and decorates. The basis of this watch is inspired by Alpina's pocket watches of the pilot watches of the 20s and 30s. Hence the size of it, and hence the case back, which we will show you here in about 2 minutes. They call this old radium loom, as you can see. I like to call it vintage colored loom, which is what it's really become to be known by. You can see you have a 24-hour scale around the Arabic numerals on the dial. You have your 60-minute counter down here. Let's show the case or the packaging that Alpina puts this in. They always do such a fantastic job with packaging. Sorry for the glare there. But they always do such a fantastic job with the packaging. This is all steel and black lacquered wood box. And then you open it up and you have your watch inside. And when you really look at the construction, how everything's fit, even the hinges and everything, the very presentation grade packaging. And Alpina, especially for a lot of the pilot watches or the diver watches, they'll do, for their diver watches, they come in the big oxygen tanks, the big yellow oxygen tanks as a display, and you open it up and on the inside is your watch. Or for a lot of the aviation watches that they do, they come with like a plane or something, like a big plane presentation, like a model plane that's attached into the presentation box. So they always make sure that they do a fantastic packaging. Let's take the watch out of the case here. We can zoom in on the dial here, show you a little better look at it. There you can see that radium loom, or vintage loom as I like to call it. You have your triangle Alpina logo up here at the 12th position. There's the nice large diamond style crown. Given a nice wind here. This is a mechanical movement, so you do have to wind it. Now this button right here, we'll talk about in just 1 minute, and I will show you something very interesting with that. Let's take a look at the other side of the case. As you can see, there is a hinge there, so I bet you know what that button's for now. Take a look at the leather strap. Very nice buckle. Love this style of buckle on here. So let's move on to the case back. And oh, look at it's gee, that's kind of a plain looking case back, but it kind of reminds you of a pocket watch. So what's that button for? Well, there's what the button is for. Press the button, open up the case like you would on an old style pocket watch, and there you have your AL 435 movement. Let's get as close up on this as we can. Beautifully decorated movement. There you can see that mainspring working. This movement was actually developed for pocket watches. It's pretty interesting. All right. Now, let's talk about the watch a little bit. Let's try and set this down here like that. Zoom back in. Now, one thing is, please go to the review on watchreport.com. You can see the full in-depth review and see the wrist shots and the loom shots. The loom is excellent on this. You'll see in the wrist shots, I have about a 7.5 inch wrist, and you will see that this is a very, very large watch. It even does look large on me, and I'll say this here in the video, and when you see the photos, I think you'll be able to tell. I think personally this watch is actually a little too large for me. I'm usually able to wear with my 7.5 inch wrist. I can wear watches usually from 40 and 42 millimeters up to 48 millimeters, really no problem. This looks huge on me. Personally, I feel, and this is just my personal opinion, that this watch is really suited for people with an 8 inch wrist or bigger, because there's really no curvature to the case and it's very flat. It sits very flat on the wrist. So it's just a very large, imposing watch. But that it is meant to be as well. It's styled after, watches, pilot watches of the 20s and 30s, and that is, where the size comes from and what they're doing with this watch. The leather strap is 22 millimeters, as I said, and it tapers down to 18 millimeters. Now, personally, I think the strap, I would, with a watch this size, I always like the strap to try and match up with, the size of the watch. I would have preferred a 24 millimeter width strap on this. It seems a little small for the case size. But beyond that, one thing I'm a little disappointed in with the strap is the length. As I said, this is a very, very large watch, and it looks very large on the wrist. I with the way it sits, I see this on, large wrists, 8 inches or larger. But the problem is the strap isn't long enough to fit on an 8 inch wrist. It just barely fits on mine. I want to say, I haven't measured it offhand yet, I want to say the strap width is, or length is 115 millimeters by 75, which is pretty short. So you have this very large watch, which again to me is meant for larger wrists, but then a very short strap. So that's one thing I would like to see improved upon, would be a longer strap, or an option of a longer strap to accommodate more wrist sizes. Everything else about this watch, though, is really cool. And I hate to use that word and just say, oh, it's really cool. That's not a very technical term, but it really is. It's very cool. I love, the vintage style markers and loom. I love the big Arabic numbers and your 24-hour time scale there. I think everything about it is finished, very fine satin brushing. You got this little ring of high polish here. Of course, that pop-open case back is just cool. And, that becomes a conversation piece without a doubt. Somebody's going to notice this watch, first of all. If you are wearing this, whether people are into watches or not, but they know you're a watch guy, and maybe they don't, you just see somebody in a store, and they're going to probably notice this, probably just more than anything because of the size. And when they say something about it, that's when you get to be like, yeah, you want to see something cool, and you take it off, and you pop the little button and the hinge opens up on the back and you're able to pop open that case back and show them that beautiful movement. I think that's pretty neat. As I said, this retails for about $1,890 USD. You could check it out on the Alpina website. This is Don Evans for WatchReport.com. Please leave a like or a comment here on the video, or please go to the full review on WatchReport.com and check that out and leave a comment there. Thank you very much, and I'll be coming at you with another video next week.